All right, I'm standing here with the 96 national champ. You guys may remember all the way back then. Jay Cutler, multi-Mr. Olympia champion and all-around great guy. What's going on, Jay?
Everything's good, man. I'm down here checking out in Lauderdale, the Nationals, and, you know, every time it's here, I'm here. I was actually in Atlanta last year, but, you know, why not to come to Florida? I actually stay in Miami for about a week, so came to check out the action, support the competitors, and, of course, greet the fans.
Jay, bring me back. We were both in the same competition way back in '96. National championships, 250-plus in attendance. A big difference, though. 250-plus, no women's physique, no bikini, no this, no that, no men's physique. Pretty much bodybuilding. Yeah,
I mean, that 250, that was the competitors. I mean, it was... Back then, I mean, I was a heavyweight champion, which I weighed about, I think it was 248 for that show. They didn't have the super heavies then, so I mean, they've even added that class now. Of course, didn't win the overall there. I was beat by Willie Stallings there, and went on to get my pro card. That's when they gave one pro card per class winner. Here, I guess they're giving two now.
Top two in each class. Not something I agree with, but this is the way it is.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a little harder to get the card then. I mean, you know, USA, you had to win the overall, and of course you won that.
Yeah.
And
years later.
Yeah, years later. But like you said, it's you know, we had 250 total in the show. The bodybuilding, there was nothing else, no physique, or there was no bikini in the women's side. And
Jay, give me some memories back from then. I mean, we were hanging out actually in the back, and you know, some of the characters that were kicking around, we were kind of, you know, having some fun at back then. But give me some of your memories from back in '96. You know, in that national championships.
Well, I was still young. I mean, I was 23. I was coming in as like an unknown. I mean, I'd qualified the year before at the Tournament of Champions in LA. I got a lot of coverage. Everyone always said to me, you should have gone to the show back in 1995 and competed. I think it was in New Orleans that year, the Nationals. And then I would wait until '96. Went in there. I didn't really know anyone. I think you were the only one, really. We were backstage talking, and we were watching King Kamali. He had this jacket on. It said, "Prepared to be terminated."
He was intense.
Yeah, he was pretty intense. And, you know, it is backstage. I mean, you're checking the guys out, and you don't know who's going to be. I mean, you can always tell the heavyweights. I mean, everyone was pretty big. But, I mean, there were a lot of big names in that lineup, I believe, that year. I mean, I don't know. I think Tony Freeman was in there, didn't make the cut. You were in there. King Kamali was in there. I mean, Dave Palumbo competed in that class. It was pretty cool being there for the first time, being so young, and of course winning the first time. That was the biggest achievement. And
did it shock you when you didn't win the overall? Because that was kind of interesting as it came down. Because I think most of the people pretty much assumed you were going to catch it, and then all of a sudden it went to Willie Stallings.
I just think it was kind of like one of those things where it's like I was a new guy, and everyone talked about, oh, this kid's going to be, you know, the next big thing, and I came to the Nationals, like, you know, without really working my way through the ranks, and, you know, I turned professional, but then I found myself with a lot of the other athletes now find themselves, now you're pro. Where do you go from this? I mean, tonight, a lot of guys are going to have to decide when the next contest is, and I sat out a year. I didn't compete '97. I came in '98 and did the NOC, 90 Champions. But there's so many pro shows now that these guys can compete in. And now you have, you know, divisions where we didn't have 212s back then, or, you know, whatever it was. You know, they started bigger than what was it, under 212 before, right?
Well, 210.
Yeah, 210. Yeah, 202. And I mean, there's been changes along the way. So. For me, it was like I was one of the bigger guys. I started guest posing. I landed a Weider contract right away. I was able to finance myself. So these guys tonight, you know, and the ladies of themselves are going to find themselves now, I mean, in the pro ranks, and of course now knocking at the door of getting endorsement deals and that kind of thing. That's what now they need to chase once they leave here tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see how that turns up.
Did it mean anything to you at the time to not win the overall? Now, a class win still Nationals back then was still big, obviously, and it still got you the pro card, but did it sit well with you that you didn't get the overall? Did you want the title?
You know what's funny is I still think back and I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm like not an overall champion. Because
you're still pissed about that.
Because I'm like, you know, I went through the ranks and I won every show there is. Sure. You know, as far as the high caliber shows, Arnold Classics and you know, Mr. Olympia several times. So for me, it was kind of, I look back and I say, oh, when I reminisce now, sitting on the sideline and I have time to think. I always say this, you don't really think when you're training as intensely as a bodybuilder, but I've had some downtime now, and I'm looking back at my career, and I know Flex Online just did this poll, like best national champion. I wasn't included in there.
Yeah, because you didn't win the
And I sent out a tweet and I said, I can't believe I'm not on this list. And they're like, well, you're not an overall winner. I'm like, hey, man, come on, I won the Olympia several times.
And even though you got the win, like you say, got you the pro card, it wasn't an instant love fest. I mean, our own Lonnie Teeper, now famous for writing those famous words of.
He's my biggest fan.
Yeah,
you know.
But, I mean, you came out of the shot. You know, again, I think almost anybody had you winning the overall, but it didn't go your way. But then Lonnie wrote about you in his column and said something to the effect of, well, you know, on the review, well, big blocky white guy, probably ain't going to do too much on the pros.
You know what it is? This has kind of been my career, and I mean, even when I battled Ronnie, I was going to fall victim to being like a Rich Gaspari or Kevin Leveroni, Flex Wheeler, to always get there right at the door and, you know, not win the Olympia. So a lot of people talk that way, and then once I won it, they're like, oh, he's not going to win it again. And of course, you know, I went on to, you know, and then when I lost it, and, you know, everyone said, you're going to come back, he can't win it back. It's impossible. I mean, history says it. So for me, it's kind of been the challenge of my career, and I like to really prove people wrong. And I think it really gave the fans, I think we talk about fan base and what I've achieved in the 20 years I've been a bodybuilder, 17 years professional. I think it's more, that's what the fans like to see as a challenge for someone. If someone just wins easily and wins and wins and wins,
it's a lot boring, man.
It gets a little boring, and they say, you know, did they really work that hard for it? They saw how relentless I was, you know, the confident, you know, every year to stand up on that stage and feel that I can win. I mean, that's what I looked at. So I think the fans really enjoy that part of bodybuilding, being the guy that they kind of counted out, and that's why I gained so much more.
Jay, bring me up to speed now. Olympia obviously has come and gone. A lot of people didn't have you going in the show. A lot of speculation throughout the year. He's never going to make it on the stage. He's going to pull out. He's going to win it. I mean, we saw the full spectrum. When the smoke cleared, it certainly wasn't what you wanted. But you know, I wanted to obviously give you the microphone on the stage. You know, and then we had talked about that earlier. Not so much to see if you wanted to retire on stage, but more just to get your thoughts. I mean, obviously, as a four-time champ, as being on the Olympia stage, I think it's just only proper to you know, have the opportunity to speak. And a great speech to the fans out there in attendance in Vegas.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Like I said, the place I wanted to go in and challenge the top guys. I knew I was sitting outside that after the prejudging, and you know, you did give me the opportunity to speak and thank the fans, and I know everyone is kind of expecting retirement. I just didn't feel like that was the right time. I mean, I haven't sit there and said, you know, I'm retiring. I mean, I've kind of said that to a lot of people, like I probably won't compete again, but I'm kind of being careful because I remember sitting and telling you in India, right. I said, I'm never going to guest pose again. Right. I'm never going to compete again. So I have to
put the trunks back on, man.
I have to be careful what I say now, but everyone knows, you know, it was a big challenge for me to get up there and compete, and, you know, I didn't have as much time to prep that I really wanted to. And now, you know, I'm not pushing off-season big weights anymore. I'm 260 pounds, trying to stay much leaner, focusing a lot on my business projects, you know, with the partnership with BPI, and of course my branding. That's been kind of my focus. I've been promoting a lot of events now. I had 7 shows this year.
Well, business has always been your forte. I mean, you're known as the consummate, you know, businessman in the sport and all that kind of stuff. Per competition, though. Give me your thoughts being on stage. I know obviously you didn't bring exactly what you wanted to the table, but, you know, still formidable, of course. Give me your thoughts on the show itself.
The show was great. I mean, I had Phil handily winning. I was glad to see Dennis Wolf move up. I thought he could have been second place. Sure. I mean, he trains at my gym every day, and I know how bad he wanted to be in the top 3, so he was happy with the top 3 placement. But I think when he heard everyone saying, oh, you know, you should have been second, it kind of hit him a little harder. I think he's focusing now on doing the Arnold Classic, and
probably a great move.
I think so, because I think it's really going to be hard for him to handle the likes of Phil if he shows up like he does, or anyone at this point. I don't really see anyone giving him a big challenge. Not even Kai Green at this point. You know, we'll see what the future is. I hate to make that judgment, but from what I saw on that stage, I mean, there's a bunch of new guys in there, and you know, like I said, it's cool to be at the top for so long and be able to see these guys, because I know what the feeling's like for these guys to get up on the stage and you know, compete against the guys like the legends. Sure. And of course move up, and they're going to be, you know, in my position in the future, some of these guys.
Well, Jay, where do we go from here? Now, it's an interesting dilemma, interesting question. Like you say, you're not quite ready to throw in a towel, not quite sure where the future lies for that. Where do you go?
You know what? I mean, I'm just out there. I'm still promoting a lot, and like I said, I'm not going to look to be 300 pounds again. That's never going to happen. So I think that really puts me out of winning a Mr. Olympia at this point, because I'm only going to win on sheer size and mass, and without that, I can't be someone that's going to knock at the door.
Is the fire there still to compete, though? I mean, you've kind of run the gambit. I mean, we've talked about this many times. You've won 4 Olympias. You've won 3 Arnolds. You've won many other pro shows. You're going to go down in history as one of the greatest Olympia champions of all time, people's champ, fans champion, all that good stuff.
You can only ride on what you were for so long. And for me, is a fire there? Not necessarily in the gym right now. That's not something. And at my age, I mean, I have to look in the mirror and say, you know, how many times can I keep doing this over and over? I have to be a realist about it.
And the follow on that, you're 10 years past where you initially thought you might be retiring. You initially said,
you're
look, I'm 30 years old. I'm going to be out, gone. I'll have some Olympias hopefully, and I'm gone, man. But now in the 40s, like I say, you've well surpassed even what you yourself thought, your longevity in this game. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to look at the big picture, and I was a 4-time Mr. Olympia winner, so I'm not going to the Olympia stage. I mean, someone like a Dexter Jackson's happy to place in those top spots. That's not me. Right. I want to go there to win, and I really thought leading into this show, like, I can win this Olympia, and that's the way I had to train. When I got there, obviously the tables turned and I wasn't close. So, and I did put a lot of effort in those last weeks. Now, do I have the time to go there and train for 1 full year to get back up to mass? Like I said, I'm not willing to do that right now. So is that going to change in a month or two? And that's what I'm going to need. I just talked to you about a bicep. Sure. Now I have a bicep tear on the right side. So that
was prevalent at the show. Yeah. I mean, nobody knew that at the time. You're not one to make excuses. And to your credit, you made no excuses even after the show. This is something that
because it didn't affect my placing. That's not what affected. I mean, I just wasn't big enough all around. My back wasn't what it was. You know, did it hinder some of the movements? Probably, but not. I still trained around it. People weren't like, oh, he lost the show. Because I mean, it's not like the year where I tore the bicep and it was black and blue. So this is something I need to repair now. So that's going to be time out. That's going to be sideline time. And to be honest, if I was going to train for next year, I would have to start going now. I learned my lesson on that. And I'm not going to go and sit there and promote myself as I'm going to come back and win the title again when I'm not as serious. I mean, last year I was really serious. I was serious about coming back, and I know people doubted that. And, you know, it wasn't hype. And a lot of people, you know, question that fact. And this year I'm not sitting here saying I'm coming back and I'm going to compete. So it looks like right now I'm just focused on the business matters, and I'm not announcing a retirement here live tonight, but you know, there may be a time that's coming, and it's going to be at the right time and in the right way.
If you call it a career at some point this year, whenever you're comfortable with it, losing the backdrop, are you comfortable in what you've done, what you've achieved? I can't imagine you wouldn't be.
Listen,
I mean, it's got to be a dream of everything that 4-time, first person to come back and win the title back. Again, all the accolades, Jay. I mean, I would think if you decide to call it this year, you've got to be comfortable with it.
If you were in my position, what would you think?
Bro, if I'm in your position, I'm done. Yeah. The trunks are on the wall. Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
You could ask 10 people that question. Yeah. And if, you know, I'm healthy at 40, very, very happy. I'm in a great position now to stay involved in the industry, give back with obviously the contests, you know, promoting the brands.
It's still in demand.
Yeah, yes, but
and that fan base isn't going on any, Jay. The lines are still long. They still love you out there, whether you compete or don't compete.
I stay in touch with the fans, and they appreciate what I do, and you know, I try to just always stay at the level of the fans and interact. And I'm going to be at a lot of events. I mean, this is an event I'm paid to be here or anything. I came on my own dime to be here and to greet the fans and hang out. And you know, I'm only here for a few hours, but I just want to see everyone and, you know, congratulate all these guys competing. And I was a national champion. I have to be where I started.
Full circle.
Exactly. And thanks for MD for always promoting me. And, you know, I'm going to be continually doing stuff on MD. I'm on there every week, usually on the boards and stuff, and, you know, interacting with the fans. And trying to stay out there with the coverage.
Well, your thread diamond Dave Borlée put out there today, and Jay in the life is crazy. I mean, millions of hits, you know, the whole thing. But you know, you have an interesting life and career, Jay. So it's interesting to watch whether you compete, you don't compete. Your business ventures, of course, will keep you close to the vest in bodybuilding. More shows that you put on as a promoter. Jay, congratulations and best of luck and everything. Really appreciate you taking out some time. Former national champ here at the Nationals, 4-time Mr. Olympia, the one and only Jay Cutler.
This is Victor Martinez. And why have you not stopped by the MD Superstore? Come on now. I'm there all the time. You should be there too.